they end up doing nothing. And then people wonder, well, why aren't there any girl scientists, or why aren't there any girl, like, this or that? It's because young women are not told that they should do anything.
Right.
Your only value is your vagina and your virginity.
And, like, when I was growing up, I did love science. I loved fossilized poop, okay?
That's cool.
It's fascinating to me. I studied minerals. I was always up late, not partying, mind you. I was always up late watching the full moon, patterns of the stars. I was adamant to, like, that's what I love to do. But I was always asked, well, why don't you like wearing dresses? Why don't you like being girly? I'm like, I don't need to be that to be a girl. So don't take that away from me. And so then people were upset when I dressed in boy clothes. I'm like, well, I'm confused because you're telling me I'm not girl enough because the activities I like isn't baking and fucking Polly Pockets. Wanted to set that shit on fire.
I loved Polly Pockets.
I'm
for
sorry.
the record.
I'm so sorry, but like,
no, I understand the destruction of something that I love.
Oh, damn it! When you put it that way, I feel so bad.
No, I seriously do understand it.
Oh.
I eventually went in and I remember taking a BB gun to one of my little dolls.
Yes.
It was fun.
Right. So, like, I don't know. And then I was like, damned if I did, damned if I don't. Because then when I started dressing in, like, pants and, like, boyish clothing, I'm like, what the fuck?
Did you ever get called a lesbian?
All the time.
Me too.
And I was, I remember the first time I met someone who was transgender and I got a talking to about it. Like, you can't do that. And because people were always wondering why I was not overly feminine. And I'm like, I don't really get that. And I wasn't even sexual about it. Like,
it's just that
so it's confusing.
And the thing is that when you are performing gender, people see gender as sex, which it's wrong.
It's totally wrong. Yeah.
Right. So if you're not performing gender to their standards, then there's something off about you and you're queer.
Yeah. And I do believe that I am queer because of that, because even though I'm cisgendered now, that doesn't mean I was always that way, because I was definitely questioning a lot as a young adult, 10-year-old, not an adult, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And if you don't develop as quickly as other people around you, then that can also help you kind of explore that more.
Right. And if I did explore it, I felt like I was shamed for doing that and like not living up to,
isn't it?
Yes, and it was so fucking weird because I wasn't even sexual at that point.
No,
so when people were saying
right,
and when people were like, "Are you lesbian?" I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Right. I was labeled as a lesbian when I was in high school. And I really just didn't care. I really didn't because
either.
Well, the thing was that I was like, I'm at this school where everyone fucking sucks in my head.
Girl, I was there too.
And I'm like, I had a tendency to draw a lot. I'm a person who draws.
Doodler.
Yeah. And every time I drew, it was a woman.
Yeah.
I drew the female form because it was more interesting than the male form for me when it came to drawing and to expression.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is some sort of queer identity trying to escape or express itself through that.
Can you imagine had we grown up in today's society?
Oh,
where would we have gone? I would have maybe been even more sure of myself at a younger age if I was just allowed to explore it.
I mean, do I still have the same mom?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't really... You're not you without her genes and DNA.
Yeah, then I probably would have ended up pretty much the same.
I know. And
because my mom still, has a lot of, body shaming and,
yeah.
just shame.
Yeah.
So it's not even, time doesn't really affect the
Your
way that
mom
my
is
mother
timeless.
treated me, right? Yeah. She is not, yeah, she's
timeless.
not time stamped.
Yeah. She transcends time and space.
Through her shade.
Yeah. It's like,
Shame.
so, and then it's funny to hear, like, yeah, I remember when you were a little kid and you would, like, read your bug books and try to memorize all the different types of spiders. And I'm like, weird, because I'm pretty sure a lot of other people thought it was odd that all I ever wanted was bugs and fossilized poop.
See, if I had
So-
a kid like that, I would be like, you go, girl. Let's
My
go
favorite-
get more.
My favorite activity was growing my own geodes. Okay, they weren't really geodes. It was sugar crystals. But,
Yes.
you know, I didn't fucking know. So,
You were doing science, bitch.
right. And I didn't even know it was doing science. Like, but
Yeah.
then when Mulan fucking came out, that was the only Disney princess I could ever actually, like,
She
like,
kicked
figure
ass.
it out. Right. Because she was like, fuck this makeup, okay? And fuck the matchmaker. I want more than being a wife.
Right. I
And
really,
she had a fucking dog on top of that. Sorry.
she did. And a dragon.
I want a dragon.
Right.
Damn it.
Well, but see, like, so now to your point of, like, growing up today, you have characters like Moana and Elsa who
And the
don't
brave
need no
one,
man.
right.
There's not even a man in her storyline. And it's like, and they
God.
look like us. Holy shit, Moana.
Right.
Like, oh my God.
can you think back to, like, fucking the first Disney princess, Snow White,
Oh,
and, like,
literally
Princess
white.
Aurora?
God.
Oh, I'm gonna go to sleep till a man kisses me. Granted, I would love that vacation, but
Wake me up with a kiss down there.
yes,
That's the true love's kiss.
that's so great. Oh man, Snow White.
We should rewrite
like-
these shits way better. That way the kids know.
Right, they need to know, and we're gonna use your beloved characters
I mean,
to explain the
I'm
story.
sure I could find that movie on Pornhub already. So
Listen,
Oh, yeah.
I also want, I'm pretty sure Ariel's got to be on Pornhub. Like,
Oh, yeah.
everyone wondered what the hell was in the fin.
Right. She probably looks like the Starbucks lady.
Yeah.
That's literally what the Starbucks lady is.
It's a
It's a
split
mermaid
fin,
that
yeah.
you can fuck.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sipping,
Starfucks.
sipping hot tea out of that. Okay.
That frappe.
Frothy.
okay, so we can't end this episode until I've said my complaints about Harry Potter.
Damn it,
Oh,
I'm so
the
sorry.
complaints.
What happened?
We went way on a
This always
tangent.
happens. Jason has the floor.
Just like in general, I feel like the limitations of the world of magic was never defined. And so
Yeah.
all these like plot devices seem to just come out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, here's a solution, and it's like, well, I never really knew what you could and couldn't do, so I guess like, cool, I'll go with it.
Yeah, no, they do explain that because, like, shit, how did I forget? The non-forgivable curses or something. They go into depth with that, and I do feel like the movies are a little shallow that way because they don't actually explain the magic. They just get right to the drama and fucking Harry's fainting spells. So
And like sometimes they use their wands for magic and sometimes they don't, but it's a
Mhm.
big deal that they have their wand and their specific wand, but sometimes they
Right.
use someone else's
but
wand.
fucking
well,
Voldemort can
so
just
like I'm
do whatever.
confused on
Yeah.
like what things matter, kind of.
Yeah.
And then time travel seemed like that would have come in handy in like almost every movie, but they only use it in one.
Right.
that invisibility cloak, he could have used that all the time, and he just kind of forgets about it after like 3 movies.
They tell what happens with it in the books. And then the time turner, they ended up, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So all these devices, they explain why they're getting rid of them in the books, which is sad because the movies are just like, oh, we're done. okay, Sorcerer's Stone, we're not going to explain what happens with it. They didn't even address Nicholas Flamel because he was a character in the books. He eventually dies because they had to destroy it because they're like, oh man, in the wrong hands, there's too much power in that. So it sucks that the movies don't say that. Damn, I didn't even think of that. Shit, because I assume a lot of it because I already know
You
the
already
backstory.
know the story, yeah. So it is interesting to hear Jason's complaints. Do you have any more complaints?
Well, even though like they're based on the books, I feel like movies need to stand on their own.
Stand on their own, yeah. I think they relied a lot on the fan base to fill in the gaps of storytelling.
Right, because it was a little bit like the wand thing. Once you mentioned it, I was like, just roll with it.
Right, because then it was like, wait a minute, though. Yeah, you wouldn't have read the entire chapter dedicated to what a wand is.
It was like a big deal that Ron's wand broke for like that whole year. And then other movies, they're doing spells without wands. They're just pointing, you know?
Yeah.
Plot holes.
Hogwarts seems to like never be prepared, and every single year like something goes terribly wrong and everyone's life is in danger. There's like no safety measures ever.
No one read their fucking emergency preparedness policy. Where's our fire exits, guys? Like,
at least like that's why I was like, I want to be in Hufflepuff because at least I'm by the kitchen.
And at least no one's trying to kill me. It
right?
Looks like.
Everyone just like focusing on Gryffindor.
That actually
Gryffindor
explains Hufflepuff a lot. That right there. Because Gryffindor's like, look at me! And Hufflepuff's like, it's okay.
Go look at them.
You do you.
You go ahead. You do you, girl.
What else? This is fascinating.
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of my major thing is that like, if you just, like, along for the ride, like, it's fun, but, like, when I start to, like, analyze the plots, it's like, I mean, what I said, like, solutions just sort of present themselves. Like, oh, this spell you've never heard about before, this potion that's never been mentioned before is going to come in and save the day.
Yeah, and it is a little kooky at times, you know, even in the books, because it's for children, but, and then I know it's interesting to me when people see that because I'm like, you know, don't forget when the books were written. It was the 90s. Like, this was not now. So for people that read them now, they do notice a lot of things that are missing culturally. And I'm like, we've advanced a lot, honestly, since J.K. Rowling wrote it. Sorry.
Right. That bitch wrote that book in the back of a car when she was living like homeless.
And it was bad enough that there was witchcraft and wizardry, which was, I mean, ridiculous for its time because that was totally not cool to read for kids. And then if she would have added the LGBT community on top of that, like, they would have never published her book. And not only was she a female author, JK is a shortened form of her name because they didn't think a female author would actually sell. Right. And especially not writing as a boy, you know. And so it was interesting when I finally found out that JK was a woman, and I was like, what?
You didn't know?
No, because it didn't say that in the books initially.
And they didn't have the picture in the back of the book or anything at that point?
I really don't think so, because I read the first edition, and I don't
you would have remembered
knowing
that
her.
happy-ass white lady on the back of the book.
Right, and it didn't, like, it, or maybe it just didn't dawn on me.
No, it would have affected you. You would have remembered that if you saw like a woman writing the books that you were reading.
Because I assumed that JK was male because I was also reading Tolkien at the same time. So JRR, JK, I just thought, oh, cool. Guess all the fantasy writers just shorten their names to J.
I think that was the intention of.
Yeah, it was mirroring an already successful fantasy series. So, and I think that's really because she was denied over and over.
What's JK stand for?
Julie something.
Jake, just kidding.
Right. And then when the fucking emoji world came out, I was like, damn it, you guys are just bastardizing her name, okay? Just kidding.
Oh.
Dang. Right. Don't use JK in vain, okay?
JK.
Right. I was like, JK Rowling, JK. But yeah, that's really interesting though to hear that, because I can't unread it. You know what I mean? Like I just know already. And so the movies would come out and I already knew what was going to happen because I of course read the book way before that came out. And so for me it was like, oh, I'm interested to see how they'll adapt this one, because it's 600 fucking pages, so I want to see how that turns into a movie. Right. And like the books also got incrementally larger over time.
Right,
so,
they got big as fuck.
Yeah, like the 7th book
like the movies did too.
Yeah. I'm honestly wondering why nobody ever went the television show route with these gigantic like stories.
A Doctor Who type of Harry Potter show.
Then we would have had time to do the development.
Well, it's